Good morning and welcome to the Oliveboard platform. My name is Maruth Sharma, your logical reasoning expert, and we are here today to start this new topic, which is blood relations. Hi Shrisa, good afternoon, good morning. So, it's a two-part series, two-part session. Part 1, we will understand the complete concept from ground zero. We'll build on the complete concept. We will learn how to solve the questions, right? And in part 2, we will also solve some questions today if time permits, just to get a better understanding, some simple questions. And then in part 2, we will exclusively deal with questions from previous year RRB examinations, right? So let's start with the concept. Now, before we actually start the concept of blood relations, I would let you know some minute details which you need to know as a prerequisite. Okay. So I will share all this with you, and then I'll let you know when we will actually start the concept, the topic from the exam perspective. Now, when I talk of blood relations, what exactly happens is this comes under the category of logical reasoning, where a certain set of instructions is given to you, some information is given to you. You observe, you read those information, those instructions, and you convert them into an image, right? And visualizing that image, you answer the required questions. That's the whole idea of blood relations. That is the whole idea of directions. That is the whole idea of syllogism. That is the whole idea of puzzle, sitting arrangement. So all these topics we put under the same category. The second section of logical reasoning. Okay, conversion into an image. Now, what is the image here? The image here will look like a family tree. Okay. Before we go to that, let's understand what happens in blood relations. Under blood relations, what kind of questions are asked. So the question will give you a lot of indirect relationships. Okay. And you have to connect the dots and give the direct answer in the end. That's the basic structure of a blood relation question. For example, if I ask you, like if I'm talking about myself. So I am my father's son, only son. Let's say I'm using the word only. So I am my father's son, right? My father, I am the son. He's my father, I am his son. Simple logic, no issue, right? But now, if I want to address my father, so I could have called like he's my father. That's it. Now, if I want to address my father and I use the term that my real brother's mother's father's only son-in-law, my real brother's mother's father's only son-in-law, that is also my father. But now this is a twisted version. This is an indirect version. Whenever a question goes indirect, let's say up to a level of 1 or 2, here and there, you can still read and, gauge. You can still travel with the question and understand. But sometimes it goes so deep and it crosses so many lines that it creates a lot of confusion and you end up making an error. So that is the principle of the questions behind blood relations, to make it sound more and more confusing so that you try to draw a link, you get lost somewhere in the middle and you end up marking the incorrect answers, right? Now, this was the basic principle of blood relations. These are the common blood relations which are listed in front of you. Though you don't have to remember any of them. You don't have to mug it up. You don't have to, wrote this. All I have just mentioned it here so that you can go through this and understand that these are the kind of relationships which exist, right? These are the indirect versions of them. Like for example, father's brother or father's sister's son. So father's brother's son, father's brother's daughter, father's sister's son, father's sister's daughter. What is that to you? It's a cousin. For example, mother's brother's wife. So my mother's brother's wife, what is she? She's maternal aunt to me. In Hindi or in regional languages, we call her mami. So I have mentioned it in Hindi also in the bracket. In case anybody is familiar with the language and you're comfortable, you can also observe these here. Okay. And this is not it. This list is even here on the next page. All right. And it's here also. But again, I'm telling you, you don't have to remember this. Okay. This is just for you to, as a reference, just to understand that, okay, these are the relationships which exist and these are the single names, direct names for those relationships, right? Now, before we start the concept, I need to let you know some do's and don'ts of blood relations, okay? So you need to specifically remember these points because these are the focus points which are going to decide how you will maneuver through the questions. So for blood relations, the first and the most important topic, most important do not, is that you strictly do not compare this with your real life relations. It's a very common trick which a lot of students use, and a lot of educators also share this, that what you do is put yourself in the center, assume your blood relations, real life relations, and answer the question. Well, initially this can prove devastating. Why? Because you don't understand the eye of the examiner. The examiner has probably said the question, the protagonist is a female, you are a male. Now you are assuming everything from your family and you are so lost in that assumption because of the examination, because of the ongoing timer, a lot of things are happening at the same time. And you end up marking the answer as per a male. Obviously that answer might be different. Okay. Or probably the relationship which is being spoken about in the question does not exist in your real life. Maybe your father does not have a brother. Your father only has 2 sisters. But the question is talking about your father's brother's wife's son. Now you are also getting confused. So eventually this habit leads to a lot of problems. Okay. So what do? Is we avoid this initially. Strictly avoid comparing with your real life relations. You are a third party observer. Okay. What you're simply doing is you're sitting, you're reading the question, you're observing from a neutral perspective, from an outside perspective, and then just solving their blood relation questions. That is the idea initially. Gradually, as you develop more and more understanding in the topic, that is when you can use this as a short trick. So that is when this rule can be reversed for you and you can compare with your own life relations to make it quicker. But at the initial stage, strictly stay away from it. Okay. Point number 2, the word only. It changes a lot of aspects. For example, if I'm talking about my father's son, so preferably I am talking about my brother. If I'm talking about my father's daughter, so I'm preferably talking about my sister. But if I'm talking about my father's only son, then preferably it's me. Okay, the moment the word only is coming up anywhere, like I just told you moments ago, I gave you an example that my real brother's mother's father's only son-in-law. I use the word only. Why? Because the father might have some other daughter and that also might be a son-in-law. So then their relationship cannot be established. But here I'm saying only son-in-law. That means this person, my father, is the only son-in-law to my maternal grandfather, right? So hence it boils down to that relationship which you are looking for. So the word only changes a lot of aspects. So be careful when you read the word only. Things are going to change at that moment. Okay. Point number 3, one of the most important points which you need to understand as a do not, as a don't, is do not and strictly do not assume the gender of a person unless specified in the question, especially not with the name. If I say, let's say I tell you that I'm talking about some Rahul in the question. Okay, Rahul is this, that, I have mentioned something. And you have automatically assumed that Rahul is a boy. Or I'm talking about, let's say, Priya. So you have automatically assumed that Priya is a girl because it's not mentioned anywhere in the question. And the question is just saying that Rahul has gone to the market. Rahul spoke to the shopkeeper. Rahul's brother, Sharan is also there. Something of that sort. But nowhere have I mentioned Rahul to be a male. But you have assumed it. What is the name of the brother of Sharan? You say Rahul. Because you have assumed Rahul to be a male. Or you assume Priya to be a female. It's a very common notion in our country or everywhere across the world to attach genders to names. But there exist names which are gender neutral. Names like Santosh, names like Sonu, names like Pushpa nowadays. Okay. So it's both valid for a male and a female. Right? So to avoid the confusion altogether, what you simply need to do is you cannot and strictly cannot assume the gender based on the name, because there have been questions in examinations where they have picked up a Rahul and made him a sister or made it a sister, and they have picked up a Priya and made it a brother. Okay, so it is possible. The examiner can do this to trick your mind, right? So be careful, make it a habit that you will not assume the gender unless and until specified. How will it be specified? Either they will mention it clearly that the person is a male or a female, or they will use the pronouns him, her, okay, his, hers, he, she. So that is going to give you a fair idea that if these are the pronouns used, especially in the English language, it will be quite clear that what is the gender of the person who is being spoken about. So be careful about this rule strictly. Okay. The 4th rule actually is almost obsolete now because you don't find questions based on this logic. But earlier there used to be a question. I'll just give you an example. So there used to be a question that B is the widow of A. Okay. B is the widow of A. B has 2 sons, C and D, who are married to E and F respectively. And they further have a daughter each. Okay. They further have a daughter each. How many male members are there in the family? Options are 1, 2, 3, 4. So a lot of people mark 3 as the answer. Why? Because they count, obviously C and D they count, both the sons of B, but they also count A because B was the widow of A. So they see A also as a male member and they count the person, they end up counting 3. But unless the question specifies, you do not count the dead members in the family. So technically, after drawing the whole tree, if they ask you how many male members, you will only say 2 male members. Unless the question asks you how many male members living or dead, then is when you count the third person. Do you understand? But this is almost obsolete now. I think for the last almost 8 to 10 years, nobody has seen a question based on counting of male or female members based on dead people in any of the examinations. But this was very common once upon a time. So I have mentioned it here just in case you never know. Nowadays, everybody is getting surprises here and there. You're preparing for the ALP exam. We all saw what happened with ALP last year. So anything can change last moment. And it's not only with RRB, it's with all the other examinations also. Something or the other is coming up as a surprise in each set. So you need to be ready, because if that jeopardizes your exam totally, then you are not prepared at all. So prepare for the worst. Okay. So these are the do's and don'ts which you need to keep in mind before we start the concept. We still have to start it. Okay. Now, how will we solve the question? These are the concepts which you need to remember, but how do we actually solve the question? So we will need a tool to solve it. And in the beginning of the session, I told you that we'll be drawing a family tree. Right? Because if you want to navigate through all the complex indirect relationships, you need to have an image in front of you that is going to clearly define it. Right? A lot of you might be watching a lot of TV shows and all. So there are some popular TV shows, Game of Thrones, House of Dragons. So all of you are very interested in the family lineage of these people. Right? The dynasties and all, you keep tracking. Or in India also, there have been multiple rulers in the past. So we always keep a track of the dynasty. So remembering through a family tree is always easy. So that is a visual tool you are going to use here. You're going to plot a family tree. But how? So that is what we are going to learn. I have already mentioned all the rules in print here so that you don't have an issue reading my handwriting. You can go through these. I will share these notes also with you. But at this stage, let us understand how to plot, how to draw, and how to simultaneously read a family tree. A lot of people quickly draw the family tree, but they can't read it. That is the issue. So be with me for the next, let's say 10-15 minutes. Stay focused. I want your full attention at this point, because towards the end, you're going to clearly understand how to solve any blood relation question of any type which is going to come your way. I'm not going to teach you 3, 4, 5 different methods. This one method is going to stick with you for any question type whatsoever. Okay. So how to draw a family tree? Point number 1 is you will always use initials. Very small point. Always use initials. So if your family tree is talking about a Rahul or a Priya, you will not write the whole word, the name. You will only write R or P. Now, if my question is also talking about, let's say, Ramesh along with Rahul, so you will write RM for him and RH for Rahul. So this much you can do, but you will use initials. Why do we do that? Because let's say I have a 10 or 12 member family which I need to draw for a tree. Each member's name, if I start writing, I'm already wasting a lot of my time. I don't have that time in hand. Okay. That reminds me, I need to ask you one question. I need to inform you about one thing. So let's say Ramesh is the father of Suresh and Sunita is the mother of Sakshi. Those of you who are watching the session right now, just give me an answer. So here, what can you read? What can you understand? Ramesh is the father of Suresh. Suresh is the son of Ramesh, correct? And Sunita is the mother of Sakshi. Sakshi is the daughter of Sunita. Am I right? It's clear? This much is clearly visible to everybody? Yes or no? Just put a yes or no in the comment box. Yes? Perfect. So this is the primary error which we are still making. Your brain is still trained like that. It's still a habit. See, just moments ago I told you that strictly do not assume the gender unless specified. Now, how do we assume the gender? We have again read the name and assumed the gender. See, what is mentioned here? Ramesh is the father of Suresh. So definitely Ramesh is a male. I agree to this. But he's the father of Suresh. What about Suresh? I don't know. Suresh can be a son or can be a daughter also. We are not sure of this. Similarly, Sunita is the mother. So Sunita is a female for sure. But what about Sakshi? Technically, it's a name of a girl, but I am not going to assume it unless the question specifies. Do you understand? This is what you need to clearly be known of. Okay? So you will never assume the genders based on the names. Coming back to the family tree. So we will always use the initials. For Rahul, we might use RH. For Ramesh, we might use RM. Priya, we will use P. Second thing is male or female. How do we depict a male or a female? If we come to know that a person is a male or a female, how do we represent them? So for a male, let's say Rahul is a male. So we will use a plus sign in the power. For a female, let's say Priya is a female, we'll use a minus sign in the power. Okay. Why do we do this? There is another method, a lot of people which teach this. They say that draw a square around the male and draw a circle around the female. Why do I avoid this method? Is because again, 10 people, 12 people you want to draw in a family tree. You're going to draw 12 squares or 6 squares, 6 circles, whatever. It's going to be time consuming. Even if it takes 2 seconds extra, it's wasting your time. Number two, a lot of people, what they'll do is this square will become like, in hurry, this will become like this. Then this will become like this. And at a point, you will not realize that you've drawn a circle only instead of the square. It's very common. When we are using a pen and paper, it's a very common thing which we tend to do. So avoid this altogether. Avoid this altogether. You can simply write plus and minus. It's easier. It's much cleaner. Okay. Point number 3 is the most important point here. It is generation level. Generation level. Now, before I discuss this, I want to discuss something else with you. Okay. When we talk of, so in the English language, when English language was devised, it did not think of a lot of ambiguity because it thought of regular, like small families, nuclear families, how will you name them? It was very clear about it. But when they started colonizing, and they started seeing that there is a culture of large joint families in people, in places. So they had to make changes to their language. Okay. Because if you see in our country itself, in regional languages or in Hindi, you will always have a name for every defined relationship. If I'm talking about my father's father, I will call him Dada in Hindi. In every language, there might be some word, some unique word. If I have my mother's father, I'll call them Nana. Similarly, Dadi and Nani. If I have my father's elder brother, I'll call him, in Hindi we call him Tau. Or Bade Papa also some people call. If I have my father's younger brother, I call him Chacha. If I have my father's sister, we call her Bua. If it is my father's sister's husband, we call him Fufaji. Right? So, if it is my mother's brother, it is my Mama. Okay. If it is my mother's brother's wife, it is my Mami. If it is my mother's sister, it is my Mosi. If it is my mother's sister's husband, it is my Mosaji. So do you understand? The variety of names? Each relation has a unique name. And I'm sure it must be the same with regional languages also. But in English, now understand. My father's father is also grandfather. My mother's father is also grandfather. Similarly, 2 grandfathers, 2 grandmothers. Okay. My father's brother, younger brother is also uncle. My father's elder brother is also uncle. My father's sister is aunt. My father's sister's husband is also uncle. My mother's brother is also uncle. My mother's brother's wife is also aunt. My mother's sister is also aunt. And my mother's sister's husband is also uncle. So there's a lot of confusion. So they gave a remedy for this. What they did is, they used the words paternal and maternal to distinguish between the two. They said paternal and maternal. This is going to solve the problem. What does this imply? Paternal means father's side. Maternal means mother's side. So it was very clear for 2 generations above. For grandfathers and all, it became clear. that paternal grandfather means Dadaji, maternal grandfather means Nanaji, similarly paternal grandmother, maternal grandmother. But the moment we came to aunts and uncle, it still was confusing, because still my chacha, my tau and my fufa, all three were paternal uncles, and my mama and mosa, both of them were maternal uncles. So this was still confusing, but still somewhat better. At least there was we could distinguish between the two. Okay, that is the idea of the word paternal and maternal. But what I want you to understand from here is, now you give me an answer here. Let's suppose I have a person K. Suppose we have a person K, and K has one son. So this is K son and this is K daughter. K's son further has a son. K's daughter also has a son. Okay, so K, he has two children, one son, one daughter. K's son also has a son. K's daughter also has a son further. Now you tell me which of these two is a paternal grandson and which one is a maternal grandson. Which of these two is a paternal grandson and which of them is a maternal grandson? Yes. Okay. Almost everybody always gives this answer, that this is the paternal grandson, this is the maternal grandson. And there's a brutal error which you have made here. What did I say? Paternal meant father's side. What did I say? Maternal meant mother's side. Paternal does not imply male and maternal does not imply female. Please distinguish from that. Paternal means father's side. That's it. Now, if I'm talking about a grandson or granddaughter, do they have anything to do with this person's father or mother? No. This person is married to somebody. He has a son and a daughter. His son's son and his daughter's son, both are his grandsons. None of them is paternal or maternal. That means, what you learn from here, that these two words are only utilized while you go up the generation. So the generations above you, your parents, so that means your uncles and aunts. Of course, for parents you won't use paternal, maternal, but for uncles and aunts, and for grandfathers, grandmothers, and for great grandfathers, great grandmothers, so on and so forth. But going downwards, your sons and daughters, your nephews and nieces, you don't use the word paternal and maternal. Going sidewards, maybe your brothers and sisters you will not use, but for your cousins, you may still use the word paternal, maternal. If your cousin is your paternal uncle's or paternal aunt's son or daughter, it becomes your paternal cousin. And if your cousin is your maternal uncle or maternal aunt's daughter or son, then it becomes your maternal cousin. That is the only place you will use maternal and paternal, apart from the upward generation, is the sideways generation, but never downwards. So if I'm talking about a person's son, grandson, nephew, niece, etc., we strictly do not use the word paternal and maternal there. Be careful about this, okay? Now, coming back to the generation level. So now I think it's pretty clear that for a living person, generations go into three directions. If I am the center person here, I am the protagonist in the question here, there will be a generation level which is above me. So my father, mother, my uncles, aunts, my grandfather, grandmother, both the grandfathers, grandmothers, further great grandfathers, great grandmothers, etc. So this will keep going upwards. The other generation is sideways. So my real brothers, sisters, then my cousins extended. So this is sideways. And downward goes my son, daughter, nephews, nieces, my grandsons, granddaughters, etc., etc. So this will keep going down. So these are the three directions in which the generations are going to progress. So how will you depict them? If your question is talking about somebody who is above a generation, you will draw a line on the top and mention the person here. Mention the initial here. If they are talking about a person who is at the same level, brother or sister or cousin, you will draw a line like this and you will mention their name either here or here. If a person is who you are talking about is a generation below, then you will draw a line like this and mention the person below. So this is how you will depict it. Okay. Now from this point, I will give you an example. So I will keep mentioning the generation level, the complete tree for each person, and I will keep drawing it. I'll keep plotting the whole family tree. So I will keep saying the relationship and I'll keep plotting it here so that it is clearly visible to you what exactly is happening. Okay. So let us start. Be very careful here. Be very attentive. The first thing which I am saying is A is the brother of B. A is the brother of B. So I will draw this. A is the brother of B. Just observe this. This is how I have plotted the tree. A is the brother, so A is a male, and brother means same level, connected, and I have written B now. I don't know the gender of B, so I have not put a plus or minus there. This is how I have depicted A is the brother of B in the form of a family tree. Now I am saying C is the sister of B. C is the sister of B. So this is how I will show it. C is a female and sister of B, connected to B on the same level. Remember, if they are connected, they are brothers and sisters. That means they share the same parents. They are real brothers and sisters. Even the term brother and sister itself implies blood brothers and sisters, real brothers and sisters who share parents. Otherwise, you use the term cousins here. Okay, so cousins will be on the same level, but they will not be connected. I will show you how that looks. Right? Now, the question is, how is A related to C? How is A related to C? If A is the brother of B and C is the sister of B, A is also the brother of C and C is the sister of A. How is B related to C? Cannot be determined. I don't know the gender of B, so I cannot determine whether B is the brother or sister of C. Clear? Now, I will say that K is the father of B. K is the father. Father means the generation above. So I will draw it like this. K is the father of B. Alright. Now, what does this imply? K is the father of B. How is A related to K? Now, if I have told you that A, B and C are brothers and sisters, they are sharing the same set of parents. That means A is the son of K. C is the daughter of K. K is the father of A. K is the father of C. This is how you read it. So it need not be connected directly. Even indirectly, you can read it that K is the father of all these three people. Understood? Now, I am saying D is the daughter of A, so a generation below, and E is the son of C. Make sure you keep them always at the same level, okay? You can't draw this line shorter and then this line slightly longer. I think I have done that slightly. I will just rectify that here. But they should be at the same level is what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, this works. Okay. So D is the daughter of A and E is the son of C. Right? Now, how is D related to C? So C's brother's daughter. So D is the niece of C. How is E related to A? A's sister's son. E is the nephew of A. How is E related to B? B's sister's son. E is the nephew of B. How is B related to E? Cannot be determined. B's gender is unknown. Okay. How is A related to E? E is mother's brother, so maternal uncle. How is C related to D? D is father's sister, so paternal aunt. How is K related to D? D is father's father, paternal grandfather. How is K related to E? E is mother's father, maternal grandfather. How is E related to K? K is daughter's son, grandson. How is D related to K? K is son's daughter, granddaughter. Cool? All relations clear? Now, how are D and E related? They are cousins. They are at the same level, but they are not connected. They are cousins. Cool? And cousin is a gender neutral word. So please do not add brother and sister with cousin as a prefix or suffix. Cousin in itself is self-sufficient. Whether it's a male or a female, you will call both of them as cousins. Don't use the word cousin brother or cousin sister. That is not correct English. And hence what will happen is that even if you don't know the gender of a particular person and cousin is the answer, you can still give it. Okay. That is a gender neutral word. Now, if I ask you how many generations are there, which we are talking about here. So these horizontal lines, these levels are generations. So generation 1, generation 2, generation 3. So you will say there are 3 generations we are talking about in this particular explanation. Okay, 3 generations we are talking about in this explanation. Now, so far everything is set. This little family we have depicted in the form of a family tree, and we have learned how to also read it. Okay, how things will seem to be connected, but how we will read it. Now, let's now come to the definition of blood relations. What are blood relations? So when I talk of blood relations, it definitely involves relations which are connected to you by blood, that is genetically, that is the same family. Technically, blood relations imply people, your relations, your father's relations and your mother's relations. When they come into your life, okay, these are your blood relations. Then your brothers, sisters, etc., everything come into picture. But it does not end here. When you get married in future, okay, some of you might already be married. So when you get married, what happens is that your spouse, your husband or wife, brings in a set of their own blood relations. So you have your blood relations, your father's side, your mother's side, your brothers, sisters, etc. They bring in their own blood relations in your life. So they are additional relations. Now these also become your blood relations, but by law. By law. Hence, we call them in-laws. So they are also your blood relations. We also count them under the category of blood relations, but they are in-laws. Okay. So what are the majorly, how will they utilize in-laws? So they will say father-in-law, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. Mostly these 6 terms they will use in terms of in-laws. Okay. But how will they depict a marriage? So marriage in the questions in logical reasoning is always at the same level because it is at the same generation level. Now some people will argue that we have seen cases where there's a difference of 10 years or 20 years between the husband and wife. How can you label them to be in the same generation? In the questions you have to assume them in the same generation. Let's say her husband is 10 years older than her. You can't put her with her father, right? That generation is not the same. So you have to assume as per the relationship, right? Not as per the age. So how do I depict? I have already taken the single lines for real brothers and sisters and no line for cousins. How will I depict a marriage? So a marriage is depicted by double line. A marriage or a couple is depicted by a double line. This shows that a person is married to the other person. They are a couple. So I am now saying that C is married to F. C is married to F. So this is how it is look like. Okay. What is the gender of F if I ask? You will say it's not defined. The question does not specify the gender of F, but it does. But it does. How? If it is a couple, if it is a married couple, and if one of their genders is mentioned, if she is a female, this person has to be a male. Because in logical reasoning or in these questions in the examinations, we only talk of conventional marriages. Okay? We will stick to conventional marriages, conventional genders. There are many types of genders which exist. And I am sensitive towards all of the people, but please try to understand, you have to, this is a limiting factor in the examinations because otherwise there are a lot of options which will go ahead. So you will not see same-sex marriages here. You will always see normal couple, so a female and a male, right? A regular couple. And similarly, you will not see multiple genders. You will only see 2 genders, male and female. Okay. So understand that from the exam perspective. So if C is a female, F definitely has to be a male. Now, how is F related to E? So E is mother's husband. It becomes father. F is the father of E. How is E related to F? F's wife's son. That means F's son. That means E is the son of F. How is D related to F? F's wife's niece. So F's niece also. How is F related to D? D's father's sister's husband. That means D's paternal uncle, Fufaji. How is B related to F? Still cannot be determined. How is F related to B? B's sister's husband, so brother-in-law. How is F related to A? Again brother-in-law. How is A related to F? Again brother-in-law. How is K related to F? So F's wife's father, father-in-law. How is F related to K? K's daughter's husband, son-in-law. Do you understand the whole variation? Request the team to do for NTPC UG GK class also. Okay. The team is observing the comments. Meek Y2T. Team is observing the comments. Don't worry. If it is feasible, they'll definitely conduct it. Right? So far, so good. Now, I will add one more relationship here. Let me add F's mother, G. So now how is C related to G? G's son's wife, daughter-in-law. How is G related to C? C's husband's mother, mother-in-law. How is E related to G? G's son's son, so grandson. How is G related to E? E's father's mother, paternal grandmother. Don't get confused. Maternal grandfather, paternal grandmother. There is a difference. Okay. And now you tell me, I want the names of two relationships from you now. How is K related to G and how is A related to G? Comment box, everybody. How is K related to G and how is A related to G? So when I ask this, majority of you, what they try to do for A and G is they think that they start comparing in with their real life relations. That's how people work. And in India, it is the extended family culture works so well that supposedly my sister is getting married to somebody. Okay, she has gotten married to somebody. And that person's mother, so my brother-in-law's mother, for her, I will also be like a son. Okay, so it's her daughter-in-law. Her daughter-in-law's, let's say, younger brother is also like her son only. She's going to treat him like a son. And this confusion causes a lot of people to answer A as the son-in-law of G. Because if I ask you what is A to G, so they say that G's son, daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law's brother, son-in-law for G. A lot of people do this. See, try and understand. Who is the son-in-law of G? If G had a daughter, her husband would have been the son-in-law of G. You can't have tens and thousands of son-in-laws with only one daughter. Do you understand? I mean, it might sound very awkward, but try to understand what I'm trying to tell you here. Okay. So how is A related to G? In English, there is no single name or single definition for this relationship. So you will say the relationship is not defined. The relationship does not exist or relationship is not defined. How is A related to G? Not defined. How is K related to G? In a lot of regional languages, even in Hindi, we call them Samdhi and Samdhan. But in English, there is no relationship. So again, you will say relationship cannot be determined, right? But there is still a way you can depict them. How? Indirectly. How is A related to G? G's son's brother-in-law or G's daughter-in-law's brother. Similarly, how is K related to G? G's son's father-in-law or G's daughter-in-law's father. So indirectly you can utilize, you can mention the relationships, but but never directly. Never directly. That is what you need to understand from this concept. Okay. So this is an example of a small family tree which I have plotted in front of you. And I have discussed not only how to draw it, but also how to read it. That is the most important aspect. A lot of people end up drawing it correctly, but they fail to read it. They still, now after drawing everything, K is the father of B, they can't read the relationship between K and D. So then you are going to be in a big soup then. Alright, is it clear to everyone? Now is when we will actually understand, I will try to explain you what kind of questions will you encounter in your examination. This is so far, we have only discussed the tools and the prerequisites of blood relationships, though this is the major aspect of it. Now, all we need to do is we just need to solve 3 examples to understand our position, to understand our expectation of the kind of questions which are usually asked in the exams better. Okay. So, there are 3 major types of questions which are asked in your examinations. Type number 1, simple direct blood relationships. Direct implies that there is a single question where a lot of indirect relationships are given. A is the father of B, B is the son of C, C is the daughter of something, something, something. You have to connect everything, build a tree and answer a single question. That's it. Simple questions. Okay. Second one is slightly difficult, not difficult, slightly different. That is pointing based. And the third one is coded blood relations. Majorly, you will see these 3 types of questions and individual variations within them. Okay. So we will solve all 3 of them with the same method. With the same method. We will solve all 3 with the same method. So this is the first question. This is question of a direct blood relation. First type. Okay. In a family, B is the brother of A. So we'll start plotting. B is the brother of A. In a family, B is the brother of A. And the son of C. Now, and is highlighted here. And is underlined separately. Why is that? So there is also who is highlighted here. So why have I highlighted these 2 words? Because they have their own purpose. If you see an and, if you encounter an and in the question, always remember and is talking about the person with who, from who the statement has started. Okay, statement started with A, B. Statement started with B. So this and is actually adding to the relationship of B. So B is the brother of A and B is the son of C. B is the son of C. Okay. Next, D is the son-in-law of C. Now we don't know whether A is the daughter of C, whether C has another daughter. So we will not plot it as of now. D is the son-in-law of C who has two grandchildren E and F. This who, what does this imply? This who talks about the person when you are going back from who, the first person you encounter. This is known as an antecedent. Okay. Who talks about the person which you encounter when you are going back from who, the first person which you encounter. So and talks about the person with who the statement started. Who talks about the person immediately before who. So C has two grandchildren E and F. We still can't plot them here. Okay. Going forward, A is the mother of F. So now we know A is the mother of F. E is the son of B. E is the son of B. So now E and F are the grandchildren of C. And now we can safely plot C has two children only. So B and A. That means D is the son-in-law of C. Implies D is the husband of A. Okay. This is the whole setup. The question is, how is E related to D? So D's wife's nephew or D's nephew? Okay. D's wife's brother's son is D's nephew. So the answer is option D, nephew. This is your direct blood relation. Very good. Excellent, beta. Good job. Okay. This is your direct blood relations. Simply relationships are mentioned. You connect them, form a tree, read the tree, give your answer. That's it. Plain and simple. Now we look at the second type. The second type is pointing based. Pointing based means you introduce somebody. Okay. Somebody introduces somebody to a third person and mentions about this relationship indirectly to the third person. You need to observe and then connect the dots in a reverse order. Okay. Either he can introduce the person, or they can point towards their picture, or they can point towards the person in a crowded area, let's say. So person standing there, that person standing right there. He is the father of the mother of the only son of the something. Okay. So now you have to join the relationships, join the dots. How will you do that? A lot of people teach a different method for this. Well, I will tell you, you can solve this also by a simple family tree. But there is a trick involved in how to start the tree and how to connect the tree. Otherwise, you will miss it out. Okay. So look at the question first. Saksham introduced Nidhi to his friend. Saksham is introducing Nidhi to his friend. Whose friend? Saksham's friend. She is the daughter. So this is a direct speech now. She is the daughter. That means Nidhi is a female. She is the daughter of the only son of my father's wife. How is Saksham related to Nidhi? Now, this is a very easy question actually, but they can complicate it a lot at this stage. So just by reading at this stage, you might not be able to answer, but gradually when you practice a lot, there will be a time when you will read these questions and everything will be in your head and you will be producing answers right away. But at this stage, how to handle this? Saksham introduced Nidhi to his friend. So always start from the speaker. Always start drawing from the speaker. If Saksham introduced Nidhi to his friend and he started speaking, we will start the tree from Saksham. Okay. And if he is introducing to his friend, that means we know that Saksham is a male. Number 2, connect. The first connect will be at a possessive noun. Okay. That means the word my, mine, etc. Here, if the speaker is speaking, this is the possessive noun. My father's wife. She is the daughter of the only son of my father's wife. So draw Saksham's father. Saksham's father's wife is Saksham's mother. So you will have to use initials like this. SM, SF, Saksham's father, Saksham's mother. Okay. Cool. Now from here, once you have depicted here, come back in the reverse order. Son of, only son of my father's wife. Only son means Saksham himself. And she is the daughter. So Nidhi is the daughter. Now read the question again. She is the daughter of the only son of my father's wife. Who is only son of his father's wife? Himself. And she is his daughter. The question is asking us, how is Saksham related to Nidhi? Saksham is the father of Nidhi. Very easy question. Option B is the correct answer. Just that visualization is the key here. Visualization is the key here, and you need to understand this concept. Always start from the speaker and always connect at the possessive noun. Possessive noun is usually respected in with respect to the speaker. Okay. Very rarely will you not find any possessive noun with respect to the speaker. So the speaker is introducing somebody to someone else and they are saying that he is your paternal grandfather's only son, something, something. That's it. So then you will start from that person in that case. Whoever's the possessive noun belongs to the person, that person is with who you will start your tree. So as of now, take it like this only. Start from the speaker and connect at the possessive noun. You will be able to draw this. Right? And the third type, one of the most important and the most frequent types of questions is coded blood relations. Nowadays, in a lot of examinations, you will see these questions a lot. In railway exams, previously, these questions were of the maximum frequency. Majority of the times you used to come across a question based on pointing. But nowadays, it's all about coded blood relations. Major questions from coded blood relations. Okay. So what happens here? Here, if you see, there are some expressions given to you and they are coded with a blood relation. So A plus B implies A is the father of B only in this order strictly. First person is the father of the second person. Okay. A minus B means A is the sister of B. A asterisk B means A is the brother of B. A percent B means A is the son of B. This code will keep on changing for every question. This is not a unique code. This is not a defined code. This code will keep on changing for every question. Okay. Now they've given you an expression T percent S asterisk K plus D minus M. And they're asking you how is T related to M. So basically you'll have to convert this also in a family tree. How will you do that? You will take it two at a time and start plotting it. T percent S, T is the son of S. At this stage, this might seem time consuming, but just observe. S asterisk K, S is the brother of K. K plus D, K is the father of D. And D minus M, D is the sister of M. You can quickly solve it, not an issue. Just make it a habit. Okay, some people teach the generation method here, that you can skip the generation, move ahead, add 1 if you're going up, subtract 1 if you're coming down, something of that sort. And in the end, you'll get a number and you'll get that relationship. So from the options, you will choose which option is in that generation. That will be your correct answer. Well, that is a good method. But eventually, even if you learn it and if you master it, both of them are going to be somewhat similar. You're only going to save, let's say, a second or 2 seconds here. Because even if you master this, you can be very fast at this also. Okay. So why I'm supporting this is because one method for all the questions is always better than different method for each question type. Okay. So how is T related to M? We can clearly see they are on the same level. They are not connected to each other. So they are cousins. They are cousins. If I would have asked you how is M related to T, the answer would have been a cousin. Why? Because we don't know the gender of M. But because cousin is a gender neutral word, I can still mention the answer cousin. M is the cousin of T. T is the cousin of M. Okay. This is how your coded blood relation looks like. Now, every question which we solved, every question type which we looked at, everything has a variation of its own. Something can change here to make it more complex. Something can change here to make it more complex. Something can change here to make it more complex. For example, in a lot of questions, what they have now started doing is, rather than giving you a single expression, they will give you the final relationship. They will say in which of the following expressions T is the cousin of M. Then they will give you 4 different expressions as options. Then you will have to solve the question. So it becomes slightly more time consuming. But there is a way around that also. We will discuss that when we'll come to the questions. Okay. For now, I think that's enough for blood relations, but I'm not ending the session here. From here onwards now, for the next few minutes, whatever time we are left with, we will solve some questions of blood relations. Okay. Some questions just to touch base and to understand what are the complete concepts which you have gone through and whether we have grasped it completely or not. In the next session, I will exclusively pick up and bring Railway, RRB, ALP, Group D, NTPC, all questions so that you get better exposure of various RRB examinations so that you know what kind of questions have been asked and how, in what direction do I need to proceed. Okay, for now, let's start with the questions, some practice questions of blood relations. Simple questions only, not very difficult. Okay, I need to set it up first. Okay, let's start. Answers in the chat box, everybody. Everybody, I want everyone to participate. Those who are watching this session on YouTube, those who are watching this session on the live app, everybody, I need you to participate in this question. Answers in the chat box. Yes, Sirisha. Okay, very good. A woman says to another, so woman is a speaker, woman 1. You are the daughter of my husband's, so woman 1's husband, brother, woman 1's husband's brother, mother, that is woman 1's mother-in-law, husband, woman 1's father-in-law. Clear? And now if you come back from the relationship, you are the daughter. So is daughter, is the woman 2. She is talking to this woman and she's telling, you are the daughter of my husband's brother's mother's husband. Cool? How are the women related? The women are sisters-in-law. Okay. So option C is the correct answer. Cool? Next. Okay. Rohit is the son of Vishal's father. So we have Vishal here first. We have Vishal's father here. And Rohit is the son. Don't make Vishal to be the son here. Okay. Vishal's paternal aunt is Parul. Paternal aunt will give preference to his father's sister. So this is Parul. Raj is the husband of Parul. So this is Raj is the husband of Parul. And now we will mention this as Rohit so that there is no confusion. Okay. And son-in-law of Madhav. Raj is the, so and means they are talking about Raj. Raj is son-in-law of Madhav. That means Madhav is the parent of Parul. Parul and Vishal's father, of course. How is Madhav related to Vishal? Neither do I know his gender nor do I know his gender. But I know that his father's parent, either grandfather or grandmother, correct? That is the option. Option B, grandfather or grandmother. Madhav can be a male, Madhav can be a female. Now, if 4 options would have been same, but this was not mentioned. Despite that, I would have chosen B only because only option B is going to satisfy the answer. Similarly, if instead of grandfather, there was only grandmother here, the other 3 options were the same. Even then, I would have chosen option B only. But if option A was grandfather, option B was grandmother, and there was an option cannot be determined, then I would have chosen cannot be determined because both the options are available here. Do you understand the difference? So options will keep changing your answers. Introducing a lady, Shumona said. Shumona is saying introducing a lady, but we don't know the gender of Shumona. She is my father-in-law's. So this is Shumona's spouse. This is Shumona's father-in-law. Wife, that means Shumona's mother-in-law. Only son, so we'll give preference to this person. That means Shumona is a female. Daughter, this is Shumona's daughter. Brother, this is Shumona's daughter's brother or Shumona's son. Fathers, again this person's sister. This is the lady. See how confusing they made it? Shumona is saying this lady is my father-in-law's wife's only son's daughter's brother's father's sister. How is Shumona's father-in-law related to the lady? He is the father. Okay. Next. Pointing to a woman in the photo, Keshav said. So Keshav is the speaker. This is a photo of the younger sister of the only son of my mother's father, Keshav's grandfather, maternal grandfather. Okay, now come back. Only son, that means Keshav's mother's brother. And younger sister can be Keshav's mother. So how is the person in the photo could have been mother, but mother is not there in the options. That means this is the woman, another sister of his mother. So how is this woman related to Keshav? It's aunt, it's maternal aunt. Okay, see, younger sister could have been Keshav's mother also, but that option is not there only. So hence you have to draw the other person. Okay. Next. Which of the following represents T is the niece of P? T is the niece of P. Now, in this case, I had told you, there is a question where the final relationship is given and the expressions are given as the options. A lot of people end up drawing the tree for each expression. Don't do that. That will waste a lot of your time. The first step is elimination. You will have to learn to eliminate some options. So the question is saying T is the niece of P. How do we eliminate the options? That means we know the gender of T. T has to be a female. So point number 1 is gender-based elimination. That means T cannot be what? A male. So T cannot have an ampersand after it because ampersand implies brother. And at the rate after it because at the rate implies father. These two are not possible in an option. So after T, can you see an ampersand? No. After T, can you see an at the rate? No. So okay, fine. Not an issue. If there was, we would have deleted that option right away. The next thing which you're going to observe here is proximity. Proximity. Proximity means they are talking about P and T. So observe P and T, how close they are in any option. So here they are close. T% P. T% P means T is the sister of P. We need T to be the niece of P. So we'll delete option C right away. Okay. Apart from that, mostly if they are, these relationships are straight. That means P at the rate Q is P is the father of Q. Sometimes they will give you P at the rate Q means Q is the father of P. Not in that case. But in this case, when the relationship are following the same order, and there is no mention of a wife or a husband. There is no mention of a wife or a husband. In that case, mostly the last term, you will not be able to define the gender. Because see, S% T means S is the sister of T. That's it, it will stop here. So most probably this is also not my answer. But I am not eliminating it right away. I am first checking option B. I will start with option B now. So P related to T. Let's plot this. P% Q. P is the sister of Q. Q asterisk T, Q is the mother of T, and T% U, T is the sister of U. So now we know T is the niece of P. T is the niece of P, so option B is the correct answer. That is the strategy. Never and never plot the tree for each and every option. Very rarely will you come across a question like that. Otherwise, always elimination of some of the other sort works for you. You can eliminate some options and then proceed further. Okay. Well, I have a lot of questions now, but we'll have to stop here because of limitation of time. So for today, I'll wind it up here, right? This was the complete concept of blood relations and we touch base all the types of questions, one extra type and a few examples. In the next session, when I will meet you, I'll meet you with exclusive questions of railway examination so that gives you a better picture. For now, that's enough for today. Thank you so much for watching live, guys. I will see you around in the next session. Till then, you guys take care. Bye-bye. Namaskar. Jai Hind.